Welcome to another video for WinBidPro version 16. In this one, I'd like to talk about the parts list, which is kind of a big part of every catalog in the WinBidPro software. And in version 16, as you know, all the data is online on a web server, and the catalog or the parts are obviously a big part of that. So let's look at this. So we're in a job right now, and the Oldcastle catalog is already selected. So if I go to the Catalogs menu, click that, down here kind of towards the middle, I can jump right to all the sections of the Oldcastle catalog. But I can also go up to View Available Catalogs and jump to any other catalog I have installed and get to those parts and frames and doors and all that. So since we can just talk about this Oldcastle one, let's jump right to their parts. So that's going to open up a vendor parts window. We used to call this parts list in the old V15 program. And what it is just a big grid of every part that we have from a certain manufacturer, in this case Oldcastle. So it has part number. These should all be unique. There shouldn't be any duplicates because part numbers are key to setting up framing systems, hardware, door leafs, door frames, all those types of things. So every part has to have a unique kind of space in the catalog. And then there's a description for it. There's a multiplier. So that's one important thing. Under this Tools menu up here at the top, you can change multipliers, but something very important to keep in mind is before you change your multiplier, you want to filter to whatever group of parts you want to change. So there's ways to do that. I'm going to maximize this parts list. I can actually turn on and off this little tool up in the top right. I can turn on and off fields if I want to. But this gives you kind of a list of all the different fields that are available in this, or that are visible, and they're all turned on right now. But just off the screen here is a catalog code. I should say catalog code, not code catalog. Anyway, catalog code and a catalog page, but I guess we don't get that information from Oldcastle. So we get it from a lot of other manufacturers like Tube Light. They work off those catalog codes quite a bit, or even pages. So, but you don't necessarily have to have that, but that's another way to filter parts. And then a very easy way to filter parts is on part type. So if we wanted all, if I click that little filter icon, if I wanted all my door related parts to be visible, let's say, I can kind of do all the ones that say door. So now I'm only looking at parts that are door related. Now if I go to Tools, I can say change multiplier, and I can put in some value like 0.80. And it's going to tell me I'm going to save this to 1244 parts. So you'll notice behind us, this list will update and only show me 0.80. Now if I clear the filter, then I'm going to see all my parts again. So if I go scrolling through, I'll see some that are coming up different now. So here's some parts that were not doors, door parts, and those are different. So the way you would change your multipliers is just by filtering to the different part types. Now every part should have a part type. So if you go down this list and do it that way, you can change them all kind of individually if you wanted to, if everything has a different multiplier. If you want to do it so that there's only two different multipliers, like everything except doors has one multiplier and anything door related has another, then you can always change the entire catalog first by not filtering, and then filter all the door parts and just change the multiplier for those, and now you have your two different multipliers. So kind of think that stuff through and decide how you want to approach it. But you have a lot of options because you can actually apply filters to different fields. Like, you know, if I decide that any part beginning with a 3, let's just say, so it starts with 3, I can select that option. In that little drop down, I can enter the 3 value, and you'll notice now it's filtered everything that begins with 3. So now when I hit change multipliers, it's saying there's 338 parts that begin with a 3, and I can change the multiplier for that. So those are the kinds of things you can do with the filters. There's a lot of power in whether it starts with it, ends with it, contains, does not contain, does not equal, that kind of thing. So a lot of flexibility with the filtering tool. So that's how you would set your multipliers. And then you can copy parts here. So if there's a part that's in here and the catalog's not showing a part that's similar, but similar description, let's say it's the same type, like screws, but let's say there's a 10-26 part that's not showing up and you need to add it. The easiest thing to do is just copy the part. And then it's going to create this and show the copy after there. And then I can just put a 6 here. If I need to change the description a little bit, I can say, it's this type of description. It's still screws, it's figured by count. Package quantity is the same. I can put a price in, and this is a package price at this point, so let's say it's $25 a package. So that's kind of one way to add parts to the catalog. So I can save that, and now it inserts the part kind of sorted. I've got this list sorted. Remember that just clicking in these headings allows you to sort by that column. If I want to, I can click on one column and then hold down the Shift key and click on another. And now I've got 2 little arrows up here that say that's ascending order. First by the first field I clicked on, and then the second field is the secondary sort. So that is allowing me to click multiple fields to sort on. And it's got the pin over here, which is kind of like a favorites thing, which is more kind of valuable in the framing system, glass, and jobs kind of windows. But we have the same concept here. So we've got the little pin to mark it as a favorite. If I do that and I sort by, let's say, part number, and that's a descending order. When it doesn't show an arrow, it's not sorting, so I click it again. I wanted to make that, or let's make pin the first sort, and then under, should show me the little, maybe there's no room to show that blue arrow. And then I'm going to shift click on part number. So now it's first is pin, second is part number. So you can do that, and then you can obviously edit prices here. I can actually click the edit window, which is going to bring up that same window we saw when I was adding a part. Oops, first I got to click on a part. So now I can go ahead and change any of those values that are in there. So all these values are important. The part type helps you kind of locate the part, and it'll show it in certain reports, where the handling is important because the program needs to know whether it's a part that gets optimized, whether it's a part that has a per foot calculation, or whether it's just a part that gets counted, like screws. So those are important. The weight can show up on the final parts report. The length is obviously important for rolls of gasket and things like that. Your package quantity is important because you may want to price it by the package or by the individual unit. Obviously your multiplier, and then all the different finish prices. So, and you can also add the catalog page and code stuff here. So that's kind of what all those fields are. And then another thing is you can just click the add part, and then you start from scratch. So you just start typing things in, and it requires like a part type and a handling. It doesn't require things like weight and even a package quantity. That can just be 1. But and you can even have no pricing, so it'll just show up as nothing. But so that's another way to add a part. You can either copy it or you can add it there. You can edit. Obviously you can print, and this would be probably only want to do this if, like it says, under 300 rows, which is 300 different parts. So you would want to filter the part down to make it a little more manageable. You can actually export this, which is the whole parts list. You can export to a CSV file, which is basically a comma delimited delimited text file, and that can be opened with Excel. So that's another option. Now here's one other thing, sync parts. Like if I have some parts that I've changed in here, and I already have a job that I've created using those same parts, I can click sync parts, and well, in this case it's going to be from the GDS catalog to my catalog. So if I've edited some parts, or let's say there's some updates that have been done to the master catalog, and then I need to update my catalog with those changes, I can just click this. And then I can say add any missing parts, update an existing part, that type of thing. So this should happen automatically, but if it doesn't, this is another way to do it. So it'll update, you know, your parts list. Because whenever you create your company, basically, and you add catalogs to your company account, a copy of all the parts is made for just your company. So then you can actually go in and change anything. You're not going to lose any of it. But if a manufacturer comes out with an update, there's certain things that will update automatically, but other things we won't. So maybe that's when we would use this sync parts. And if you're not worried about your pricing changing, which probably is why you'd want an update, then you would, you know, hit sync parts if you don't see the correct pricing. So that's pretty much how all that works. One thing to keep in mind as well is this is the master parts list for this catalog. And remember, I got to it from the catalogs menu and going right here to parts, or I could have always gone to here, over to Oldcastle and to parts. That's just a couple more moves. But the main thing to remember, that's the master list. So any new jobs you create are going to pick up that information. But also, we can go to just the jobs parts list. And this screen looks exactly the same. It's just, it doesn't actually have a copy part icon, but it lets you edit. Like if I were to click a part, I can edit it. So here I can make changes to this part just for this job. So they're not going to trickle back to the catalog. And this is where if you do update some things and you need your master catalog updated, then I can actually click sync parts here, and I can say update from this job to the master catalog. And vice versa. If you made changes in that master catalog, like pricing or part type changes, or added some parts, I guess if you added them, they'd be already here if you were using them. But anyway, you can either update from the catalog to the job or from the job to the catalog. So depending on where you made the changes and what you want to be updated, that's what that sync parts does. Now this one also has a change multipliers tool just like the other one, and it also has an export to CSV. So it's pretty much the same list, only this is only the job parts. So if you make changes here, it only applies to this job, and until you sync them, they're not going to change the master catalog. So in a nutshell, that's how the parts lists kind of work in version 16. And that's about it. Keep an eye out for more videos. Thanks.